The Urantia book has this beautiful way of going over my head when I read it. But after having read it for so many years, I realize it's going into my heart, even if it does go over my head. So we're going to read page 6 and see if this has this feeling of losing you. But keep in mind, just take some deep breaths and meditate while we read these words, and we will try to break them down at the end. But remember, they are going into your heart. Like and subscribe. This book really does have the power to change the world and also advance us on our own personal spiritual paths. Reality, as comprehended by finite beings, is partial, relative, and shadowy. The maximum deity reality, fully comprehensible by evolutionary finite creatures, is embraced within the supreme being. Nevertheless, there are antecedent and eternal realities, superfinite realities, which are ancestral to this supreme deity of evolutionary time-space creatures. In attempting to portray the origin and nature of universe reality, we are forced to employ the technique of time-space reasoning in order to reach the level of the finite mind. Therefore, must many of the simultaneous events of eternity be presented as sequential transactions. As time-space creatures would view the origin and differentiation of reality, the eternal and infinite I Am achieved deity liberation from the fetters of unqualified infinity through the exercise of inherent and eternal free will. And this divorcement from unqualified infinity produced the first absolute divinity tension. This tension of infinity differential is resolved by the universal absolute, which functions to unify and coordinate the dynamic infinity of total deity and the static infinity of the unqualified absolute. In this original transaction, the theoretical I Am achieved the realization of personality by becoming the eternal Father of the original Son simultaneously with becoming the eternal source of the Isle of Paradise. Coexistent with the differentiation of the Son from the Father, and in the presence of Paradise, there appeared the person of the infinite Spirit in the central universe of Havona. With the appearance of coexistent personal deity, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit, the Father escaped as personality from the otherwise inevitable diffusion throughout the potential of total deity. Thenceforth, it is only in Trinity association with his two deity equals that the Father fills all deity potential, while increasingly experiential deity is being actualized on the divinity levels of supremacy, ultimacy, and absoluteness. The concept of the I Am is a philosophic concession which we make to the time-bound, space-fettered, finite mind of man, to the impossibility of creature comprehension of eternity existences, non-beginning, non-ending realities and relationships. To the time-space creature, all things must have a beginning, save only the one uncaused, the primeval cause of causes. Therefore, do we conceptualize this philosophic value level as the I Am, at the same time instructing all creatures that the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit are co-eternal with the I Am. In other words, that there never was a time when the I Am was not the Father of the Son and with him of the Spirit. The infinite is used to denote the fullness, the finality implied by the primacy of the first source and center. The theoretical I Am is a creature philosophic extension of the infinity of will, but the infinite is an actual value level representing the eternity intention of the true infinity of the absolute and unfettered free will of the universal Father. This concept is sometimes designated the Father Infinite. Much of the confusion of all orders of beings, high and low, in their efforts to discover the Father Infinite, is inherent in their limitations of comprehension. The absolute primacy of the universal Father is not apparent on sub-infinite levels. Therefore, it is probable that only the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit truly know the Father as an infinity. To all other personalities, such a concept represents an exercise of faith. Wow. That's one of those aha moments right there at the end, because we're reading about all this stuff, and this is how they're describing how God came to be. Okay? There was always, you can't even use the word came to be because it always was there. It's eternal. But they saying that they have to present it as sequential and transactions just because our finite minds can't comprehend how something like this can come to be, so to speak, yet always be eternal. So they have to use this I am, which they call a philosophic concession. Okay, so whenever you're getting into philosophy, that's a signal that's of the mind. That's not of the spirit. Of the spirit, you would just feel something like this. Or you would have faith in something, an exercise of faith in something like this. So it seems like it's complicated, and to even advanced orders of beings, like the beings who write this book, they're called, their literal names are things like perfecters of wisdom, one without name and number. It's you're talking about brilliant beings well beyond the human mind, and even to them, to all other personalities except for the Trinity, there's an exercise of faith in order to understand the infiniteness. Okay, because if you're not that, then I mean, you didn't personally experience that. If you did, then you would be God. So there's that exercise of faith on all levels. So it's such a hugely important lesson to know that no matter how far you grow in the universe, there's still going to be that faith level. So it's something that starts out right here in this lowly world where we're just trying to grasp at things. And as you can see, not doing a great job judging by what we're seeing, in the news about how the world system of things is going down. But we can personally and individually do a wonderful job. And that is the key that will take us from this very lowly estate, faith, all the way up to the highest estate, which is well beyond this life. So keep that in mind, the concept of the I am. They're talking about there's this inevitable transaction that must take place, that God used volition, okay, personal will, in order to divest himself, or else they said it'd basically just be, just this one big soup of everything being God. So, and when God did do that, then they achieved the total deity. And also, here it is. The Father fills all deity potential, okay? And also with the two cohorts of the Son and the Spirit, the eternal Isle of Paradise came into existence, and also the central creation of Havona. So all of those things took place seemingly at the same time, because there never was a time where the Father was not of the Son. So it's beautiful, people. It's the best you could do with words. I really am convinced that this is the best that you're going to be able to do with words, and this concession of the philosophic I am. Okay, think about that. Ponder that for a little while. The I am. That's something that's existential. And infinite. So, and it's God, right? And luckily we have the personality aspect, the loving Father. If not, then it would just be this floaty, etheric type of things. But God knows that personality is the way to divest himself of love and experiential. Okay, thanks for checking out the Urantia book papers. Please like and subscribe. we're going to continue on with our read through. Tomorrow we're tackling universe reality. And give me a comment or a question in the comment section.